Tigray People Liberation Front has issued a statement warning the federal government of Ethiopia. Secondly, Turkiye versus the UAE. This is what is happening in a war in the Ethiopian neighborhood. Welcome to my views and news. Thanks for watching the channel. Three main news stories in this video. Firstly, a statement by the Tigray People Liberation Front. Secondly, it seems that Eritrea has withdrawn its military from an area where it was deployed to conduct joint security operations with another country. Thirdly, Turkey versus the UAE. Let's start with this news story. Turkey versus UAE. In Sudan, we have been seeing renewed and more use of drones by the parties to the conflict, Sudanese military and rapid support forces. Especially RSF in recent days bombarded Port Sudan, carried out multiple drone strikes on different targets in Port Sudan, and the only functional airport, only operational airport in Port Sudan became non-operational. Port area was also hit. Oil depots were hit. Some hotels were hit. It was brutal bombardment of Port Sudan by RSF using UAE provided drones. What happened? I mean, such drone strikes could have been conducted in the past too. The war ongoing for almost 2 years now. What happened that led to this sudden escalation? Well, the reports which are now coming in indicate that this war is turning into Turkey versus UAE. Turkey has provided combat drones to Sudanese military. TB2s are in operation. Other types of weapons have also been provided by Turkey to Sudanese military of Abdul Fattah al-Burhan. And Sudanese forces conducted a drone strike in the first week of this month, hitting a plane at Nayala airport in Darfur. In that drone strike, which was reportedly carried out with the support of Turkish technicians, Turkish experts who were on the ground in Sudan, some Emirati officials were killed. RSF fighters were killed. Around 100 people were killed in that attack. And then Emiratis, UAE, took revenge. It started drone strikes on Port Sudan. In Port Sudan, Turkish drone operators are based who are supporting Sudanese military. And then you saw what happened in Port Sudan. I did some videos on that. I told you about the situation there. So Turkish drones being used by Sudanese military, Turkish drone operators on the ground in Sudan. Emirati drones being used by the rapid support forces. This war is turning into UAE versus Turkey. Will the two sides step back a little, or will that lead to further escalation with the two countries? That remains to be seen. Second news story also from Sudan, where it seems that Eritrea has withdrawn its military from Port Sudan coastal areas. Few days ago, I told you about the arrival of Eritrean Navy in Port Sudan. Eritrea deployed its navy to support Sudanese military in operations against different criminal networks operating in coastal areas. Human trafficking networks, arms traffickers, and other criminal networks are operating in Port Sudan, and keeping in view that Sudanese military is engaged fighting RSF. Coastal areas are unprotected. That is why Eritrea deployed its navy to Port Sudan's coastal areas, and their Eritrean navy was basically protecting Port Sudan's coast. But as I told you a few minutes ago, that RSF bombarded Port Sudan with drone strikes in recent days. And some sources claim, they made wrong claim that Eritrean Navy had been hit. If you remember, I said that no, we had no confirmation. The Eritrean Navy had been hit, but the strikes were carried out very close to the places where Eritrean Navy was deployed. Eritrean Navy, I think, saw the message from the UAE, and reportedly Eritrea has withdrawn its naval forces from Port Sudan. Eritrea does not want its navy to be directly involved in this war. Eritrea is involved in this war. In a video yesterday, I told you about the formation of a political military alliance in eastern Sudan backed by Eritrean government. Three groups have formed an alliance there. They want to have their share in power in Sudan. Eritrea is backing them. So Eritrea is definitely a player, but it wants to have its participation discreet. It doesn't want to openly intervene. That is why it has withdrawn its navy from Port Sudan, reportedly. Lastly, viewers, Tigray People Liberation Front issued a statement a few hours ago. TPLF is now lashing out at the federal government of Ethiopia and lashing out at Getachew, the former president of Tigray. Yesterday, we saw that Tigray Peace and Security Bureau issued a statement calling Getachew a liar, a traitor, saying that Getachew's allegations about smuggling of gold, human trafficking, are lies, and he is basically betraying the people of Tigray. And federal government is backing him. Federal government is crossing red lines. Today came a statement from the TPLF. Tigray People Liberation Front issued a statement accusing Getachew of spreading lies. TPLF says that when it signed Pretoria deal with the federal government of Ethiopia, the parties to Pretoria agreed that they won't be involved in launching provocative, hateful campaigns against each other, that they'll stop inflammatory use of media against each other. But this provision of the Pretoria deal is being violated by the federal government of Ethiopia. Federal government has launched Getachew Reda. He is spreading lies. He's telling lies. He is spreading misinformation backed by the federal government. And federal government has recruited other people who are involved in this campaign of blatant lies against Tigray. These people, Getachew, others, they are discrediting, they're trying to tarnish the image of Tigray's institutions. Federal government is committing a clear violation of Pretoria deal. Federal government should have implemented Pretoria deal by now. Instead of implementing it, federal government is violating it. So federal government should realize that what it's doing is a violation. It should correct itself. This is what TPLF said in today's statement. Basically, tensions rising, no signs of de-escalation. Getachew's two-part interview hit some nerves in Tigray, by the way, because he criticized people by name. He talked about Migbe, he talked about General Haile Selassie, he talked about Colonel Tevalde, talked about Michael Mayer, and he has so much in store, by the way. Getachew Reda could disclose more in coming days, but what he's saying is hitting some nerves in Tigray. That is why yesterday Tigray militants criticized Getachew and today TPLF criticized him. Thank you for watching.